The latest Bloomberg news polling is in, and it is going to send shockwaves into the campaign. Because the big news is the closer we get to Election Day, the more the polls are not tightening up. And that is a big story. When you get right down to it, the story of this election is actually a very simple story. Joe Biden completely outmaneuvered, or should we say, outfoxed, the Trump campaign by withdrawing from the race and seamlessly passing the campaign on to Harris, who has done nothing but build momentum from that moment on. Boom! Done. The details change every day, but the song remains the same.
The song remains the same.
Every day, Harris and Tim Walz continue to build momentum, and every day, Donald Trump says something insane, and the media fails to hold him accountable. Every day, J.D. Vance says or does something creepy, and the media ignores it. If it weren't for the internet, the media would have let Vance off the hook for making the story up about the cats and dogs. And yet, all this momentum does not seem to show up in the polling. Until today. Until now, polling seems to defy what we can see with our bare eyes. Kamala continues to pack her venues, while Trump can't even pay people to stay and listen to his. And in a moment that was worse than George Bush becoming hypnotized by supermarket scanners, Trump handed $100 to a family in a grocery store in Pennsylvania. Only the internet caught him. Turns out that the family was related to the people who own the grocery store, and that it was totally and completely a staged photo op. What a surprise. And what is the mainstream media saying about it? As a result of all this, Harris should be ahead in the polls by at least 10 points. But polls stubbornly refuse to give those kinds of numbers. They do show that every day, Kamala gains ground on every polling metric: favorability, trust, specific voting demographics, and the economy. She gains ground in all of these metrics. She has yet to lose ground on any kind of polling. The odd thing about polling, the unbelievable anomaly, is that somehow voters trust Trump with the economy more than Harris. Yeah, that's right. The guy going around saying he's going to wreck the economy with tariffs is somehow leading on the economy. You know, the economy that is booming and has lowering inflation thanks to Biden and Harris. The economy that has seen an increase in manufacturing jobs while you've seen decreases under Trump. That economy. Even so, Harris has gained ground there too. But the place where Harris has really gained is the polls about voting itself. Bloomberg is reporting today that its jointly conducted poll with Morning Consult shows Harris leading among likely voters by 7 percentage points in Nevada, 5 points in Pennsylvania, 3 points in Arizona, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and 2 points in North Carolina. And the two are tied in Georgia. In other words, polling is finally catching up to what we have been seeing for weeks. And while Trump continues to rage about immigration and what a hellhole this country has become, Bloomberg's polling shows that Harris is gaining ground on the most important issue to battleground state voters. Bloomberg reports, swing state voters have consistently said the economy is their top priority in this election and have said they trust Trump more to handle that issue. Something that has been a stubborn problem for President Joe Biden when he was atop the Democratic ticket. Harris has fared better than Biden on that question, though, and keeps chipping away at Trump's lead. His advantage on this issue among likely voters was just 4 percentage points in the September poll, down from 6 points in August. But here are 2 other data polling points that shows why Harris is gaining so much ground on the economy. When likely voters were asked who they trust more to handle the cost of everyday goods, it was a virtual tie. 47% said Trump and 46% said Harris. Here's another very important data point. Bloomberg polling shows the vice president also held a notable 11-point advantage on who likely voters trust to help the middle class. All of this is really good news for the Harris campaign and its supporters. Harris just needs to stick to a 3-point plan. Keep up the campaign enthusiasm. Keep hammering away at the economy with specific proposals. And of course, lastly, keep prodding Trump to shoot himself in the foot. Trump has always suffered from foot and mouth disease. Just help the condition along. And as for Democrats and supporters, this latest round of polling means two things. First, volunteers and supporters can't let up. We don't want another 2016. But there's an even better reason that the campaign must keep the momentum going and keep volunteers knocking on doors. In order for Kamala to govern effectively, she needs the House and Senate. It's time for the campaign and its volunteers to increase her coattails. John Tester in Montana can use her help, and the same is true of Colin Allred. His race with Ted, I'm wearing an opossum on my face cruise, is very tight, and a rally with Harris and Walz could help move the needle. Democrats and supporters need to create a blue tsunami in November. Bloomberg News shows it's within reach. It's just a matter of putting in the work. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.